Welcome back to another episode of What's Going On in the World. I'm your host, Tommy J. Hausman. Today is Wednesday, November 13th. And today we're going to not talk about the whole world. Well, kind of. We're going to talk about what's going on here in the United States with Trump and his cabinet picks. And we're going to examine his public remarks, his recent appointments, and what those decisions might mean for the future of the United States and the world. Let's start with Trump's public statements over the past week. In his victory speech on November 6th, he delivered in West Palm Beach, Florida. Trump declared this was a movement like nobody's ever seen before, which is total sensationalized nonsense. This message underscored what he believes is an unparalleled wave of support and momentum behind his return to the White House, framing it as a movement he's ready to lead. Then on November 13th, he spoke to House Republicans at the Hyatt Regency on Capitol Hill, celebrating the Republican Party's success in gaining 31 House seats. "It's nice to win," he remarked. This confidence reflects Trump's focus on Republican dominance in the Congress, setting the stage for an ambitious legislative push. Trump's appointment announcements over the past week reveal the shape his administration may take. He's already appointed Elon Musk to co-lead the Department of Government Efficiency, a new department aimed at streamlining federal operations. This announcement caused Dogecoin's value to spike, showing the immediate financial implications of his selections. Finally, Trump met with President Joe Biden at the White House, discussing a smooth transfer of power. He acknowledged politics is tough, hinting at the inherent challenges of political life and perhaps the difficulties faced during his previous term. We'll know more about what happened in that conversation later. I'm sure it was lovely. So I'd like to take a minute to examine Trump's appointees so far, their qualifications, and the implications of their roles. These appointments aren't just, political placeholders. Each appointee brings their own motivations and potential conflicts of interest in their position. At least that's the way it seems as I've been looking over them. Let's see here. We have Susie Wiles. She is going to be the White House Chief of Staff. Wiles has a long-standing role as Trump's political strategist and will oversee White House operations. Her political expertise could help shape Trump's strategies and alliances. However, her loyalty could deepen partisan divisions and, without extensive policy experience, lead to decisions focused on political gain over national interest. And then we have Tom Homan. So for a very long time, I've found myself repeatedly saying, there's no such thing as a border czar. I've said that probably 100 times when I've been talking to people. There's no such thing as a border czar. Well, now there's a border czar, and his name is Tom Homan. So he's known for his hardline immigration stance as former acting director of ICE. Homan now has direct influence over border policy. His appointment could lead to stricter measures, raising concerns about humanitarian impacts and diplomatic relations, especially with Mexico. Homan's hardline approach may also increase tension with border communities and disrupt local economies. This is what I do know. So he was asked the other day, do you think that there's a way to have mass deportation without separating families? And he said very, very calmly, without blinking an eye, of course, we can deport them together. So that was kind of an ominous thing to say. And I also noticed that private prisons stock has kind of skyrocketed since Trump has been elected. And that doesn't seem like a good sign to me. Appointing this guy as head as this, and we have to, we obviously have to think about the implications that it would have to have mass deportation in this country. It's not like we don't know where undocumented immigrants are. We know where they are. They're hard to find. You just go into Kentucky and down in Mississippi. You're going to go to a chicken factory, right? You're going to go. That's where they are. They're getting their food. They're doing agricultural work. They're building houses. They're not hiding. they're working. 45% of undocumented immigrants are here on lapsed visas, and our antiquated system is part of the reason their visas haven't been renewed. So if we start mass deporting these undocumented immigrants, who's going to pay the price? Well, we're going to pay the price. If these people aren't there to do the work that they're doing now, grocery prices are going to go up. So I don't think that they're really thinking this through. Maybe Elon Musk is thinking about it when he's thinking about, his robots taking over this labor, which I know is a thing that will happen in the future, but those robots aren't ready to do that. So I'm not sure how we're going to survive this price increase if we do have mass deportations. And then we have Elise Stefanik, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. Stefanik brings strong conservative credentials and experience in foreign affairs. However, her close alignment with Trump could result in a confrontational approach in the UN, isolating the U.S. on global issues and risking backlash from key allies in multilateral initiatives, especially climate change and peacekeeping. She is totally anti-UN, and she is pro-Israel to the point where she thinks, they should have Gaza. So we'll get back to that, though, won't we? So Lee Zeldin, he's been appointed the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. Zeldin's conservative stance may drive deregulation efforts, like there hasn't been enough with the overturning of the Chevron deference, benefiting sectors like oil and gas. However, rolling back environmental standards risks public health concerns, especially in communities near industrial zones, and may lead to long-term ecological damage, which could outweigh short-term economic benefits, which it obviously does. It obviously outweighs the short-term benefits. I don't understand why this is such a hard concept for anybody to grasp, but you shouldn't poison neighborhoods. You don't let businesses just do whatever they want and poison the land and the air and the water around you. That doesn't make any damn sense, now does it? So the EPA is important. It's not like they're trying to stifle the growth of business. They're trying to protect the community. And if that's hard for you to understand, I really kind of feel sorry for you. And now we're going to talk about good old Mike Waltz for the National Security Advisor. Waltz's military experience suggests he may prioritize military responses over diplomatic or intelligence-driven solutions. This could escalate international conflicts and lead to an overemphasis on defense contracting, potentially overshadowing other emerging threats like cybersecurity. So I know that Trump was talking this week about putting together a group of people to find out which generals they should fire because they wouldn't do what he wanted them to do, because he wants to replace the generals with loyalists. So there's certain things that the military shouldn't do, like attack its own people. So if you ask the military to attack its own people, the military should weigh that concern that no, that's not something that we should be doing, and there should be people that say no, that's wrong. We're not going to do that. So there's things in place to allow the military to say no to the president. But if he has a bunch of yes men in place, I don't know. It's starting to really sound a little bit scary now, isn't it? So Mike Huckabee, U.S. Ambassador to Israel. Huckabee's strong support of Israel aligns with Trump's foreign policy, but this appointment risks undermining the U.S. neutrality as a mediator in the Middle East peace talks. His policies could worsen tensions with Palestinian authorities, potentially affecting U.S. credibility in the region, which this is a no-brainer already. This guy totally thinks that there should not be a two-state solution. There's not going to be a two-state solution. So those of you that voted for Trump because you thought that Biden and Harris weren't going to protect the Palestinians, well, you just made a mistake, because yesterday Netanyahu announced that he's going to annex the West Bank. So now you voted for Trump, and now all Palestinians are in danger, and they're never, ever going to get their homeland back, and they're not going to get their land back. They're not going to get their land back. They're not going to have a two-state solution, and this is just driven all the way home by him appointing Mike Huckabee, the U.S. Ambassador to Israel. And now we come to Elon Musk and Barack Ramaswamy. Department of Government Efficiency. Both Musk and Ramaswamy have vested interest in tech and government efficiency. Their focus on privatization could reduce public access to essential services and create conflicts of interest, with policies that may favor their own companies, such as SpaceX, biotech, ventures, not to mention, oh my goodness, not to mention the EV. If we stopped having, tax incentives for buying EV cars, that could make it to where there's no competition for Musk at all. This raises ethical concerns around potential self-dealing. This is a no-brainer why Musk wants to do this. He's making robots that he thinks are going to take 30 to 50% of the labor force off the table in 5 years' time. And then he has, driverless cars, EVs. Come on, guys. Are you paying attention at all? I don't think that we are. You got to dial it in, man. Dial it in. Just have a little bit of common sense about what's going on. Think about how putting Elon Musk in this position of power within the government is just wildly dangerous and self-serving. Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security. Noem's conservative background suggests a possible expansion of surveillance and militarization in Homeland Security, which could infringe on civil liberties and increase domestic tensions. Her alignment with Trump's agenda might lead to a politicized DHS, possibly targeting political dissent. So, no worries there, right? So now we have John Ratcliffe, director of the CIA. Ratcliffe has been criticized for politicizing intelligence, which would compromise the CIA objectively and weaken its credibility. His alignment with Trump may encourage intelligence operations with political motives, which could lead to reduced cooperation from international intelligence agencies. Lastly, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. Hegseth's media presence and conservative stance might politicize the Department of Defense, possibly leading to defense policies aimed at public appeal rather than strategic necessity. His leadership could challenge the principle of civilian oversight in military decisions, impacting moral and national security balance. This is what I was talking about earlier. In a means to get rid of generals that would disobey Trump or disagree with Trump. He's going to put generals in that are loyalists, and maybe next time there's some sort of mass demonstration, they're met with military resistance and people are killed. Won't that be just a fun time? So what's the implications of all this policy and governments? These appointments hint at a Trump administration focused on loyalty, efficiency, and a strong conservative agenda, the MAGA agenda. However, the risks are notable. There's a potential for increased partisanship, regulatory rollbacks that could harm the public health, escalated international tensions, and potential conflicts of interest. These decisions will shape U.S. policy for years to come, affecting everything from environmental standards to international relations and homeland security. The key takeaway here is that Trump's second term may prioritize political loyalty over bipartisan governments, and that's a no-brainer. That is what is happening. With a potential shift towards militarization, privatization, and a strong focus on executive-led policies. So that's my deep dive into the first actions and statements from the President-elect Donald Trump and his, oh my goodness, and what his recent appointments mean for the future. What does it mean for the future? You guys need to pay attention. You need to connect the dots. Maybe, I'm not trying to be an alarmist here, but this does not sound good to me. But we're gonna find out. You and I are gonna find out together just how bad this is. So I'm going to be here to scrutinize and look at it and talk about it. And when he does things that are good for us, I'm going to say, yeah, that was good for us. It helped us. But when it's dangerous, I'm going to point that out too. And hopefully you guys will do a little research your own. Maybe I can point you in the right direction. I don't know. I'm just really concerned for the state of our democracy. So thanks for tuning in to what's going on in the world. My name's Tommy J. Hausman. Bye-bye.